Hello everyone, my name is Akansha Jain and welcome to my channel. This particular video lecture series is for advanced electronics, which is very important for ESE prelims as well as mains point of view. And also we will cover the fabrication process first, which is important for gate point of view as well. So I have cleared this examination twice, so I have a good glance about the subject. And also, I would like to tell you that this UPSC hasn't explored much into the subject, but there are chances of coming question from this particular subject is high because it is a newly added subject. So please prepare thoroughly this subject. So this particular subject is very much theoretical in nature, but we will extract some theory, objective points as well as numerical from this theory. So start with the syllabus. We will cover silicon wafer manufacturing, single crystal manufacturing, defects, oxidation, diffusion, epitaxy, lithography, etching, metallization, packaging, and fabrication of CMOS. In between, I will cover some miscellaneous topics as well. So please be with me and prepare thoroughly this subject. So first we will understand the IC evolution. Do you know how our first computer looked like? It is made up of vacuum tube and it covers the size of a room. But now you can see the device size is very small. You are holding device in your hand. So this is the whole history about the IC evolution. So we have started our IC fabrication with SSI, which is small scale integration, where 1 to 10 transistors are in single chip. Then we move forward to medium scale integration, where 100 transistors are implemented in a single chip, and the logic gates and counter were implemented by using this particular technology. Then we move towards the LSI, which is a large scale integration process where 10,000 transistors can be implemented in a single chip. So at that time, microprocessor on a single chip is made up of LSI process. Then we move towards the VLSI process, which is very large scale integration process. Here, 10 to the power 5 transistor can be inbuilt in a single chip. And the probable example at that time was 64-bit microprocessor with a cache memory. But now we have moved towards ULSI, which is ultra large scale integration, where we can implement more than 10 to the power 5 transistor on a single chip. So there is one very important rule in a VLSI technology, which is called Moore's law. So Moore's law says that there is a prediction that the number of transistor on a chip will be double in every 18 to 24 months. So you can understand by every 2 year or 18 months, you will have a double speed processor. So this is the reason why Intel is producing every time new version of their processor. And also Apple is launching every time new version of their set. So every time the new version of the processor is twice as efficient as the previous one. So this particular rule is very important for VLSI technology. And also it says that the processor performance in the clock frequency will grow exponentially. So the amount of frequency that we are using and dealing with every single new device is growing exponentially. So this particular rule is very important for VLSI point of view. Now we can move towards the type of IC technologies. First one is a monolithic technology. It is used for the active component fabrication. What all are the active component? Like diode, triode, etc. So then there is a second technology, which is thin film technology, used for the passive component. So which are the passive component in our circuit? Like resistor. We cannot implement inductor and capacitance in a fabrication process. So we are dealing with only resistor in a passive component. So the thickness of silicon wafer will be 50 angstrom to 50,000 angstrom in this particular technology. That is why it is thin film technology. Then we move towards the thick film technology, where we also used for passive component fabrication. But the thickness of silicon here is 12.5 to 62.5 micrometer. That is why it is called thick film technology. So let's see the advantage of this IC fabrication. So the area of the device is very small. As you have seen that the level of integration in one particular chip has increased towards 10 to the power 5 degree. So you can see there is a compactness in a device. So that's why area of the device is small, and that is why your handset and your computer is very small with in comparison to the first computer that is invented by using vacuum tube. The second important reason is a less power consumption. That time that vacuum tube consumed lots of power, in a kilowatt of power, and now your device is using maybe 5 volt or 12 volt or maximum 24 volt. So this is why your power is reduced. So the next important is the higher reliability due to improve on chip interconnection. So right now we have all the interconnection in the chip inside the silicon wafer. We do not have any external interconnect. So the breakage of interconnect will not happen. So that is why there is a reliability in the circuit. And important reason is higher speed due to decrease in interconnect length. As you know, the length of the wire is the reason of resistance, as resistance is proportional to the length of the wire. So if the length of the wire increase, the resistance will increase. As resistance will increase, then RC time constant of the circuit will increase. Due to increase in the RC time constant, your device will be slow. So that is why if you will decrease the size of your interconnection length, then your resistance will be small and your RC time constant will be small, and that is why your speed is very very high, and also it is a cost efficient method. The disadvantage that is present in IC fabrication is the non repairable point. Yes, it is a non repairable. We cannot repair it. If the IC is treating faulty, then it you have to remove it or exchange it. The second important thing is you cannot use two different logic family chip. If you are using one TTL logic family chip, you have to use other TTL logic chip only for the interconnection. So the interfacing between the two silicon chip should be in same logic family. That is, if you are not using same logic family, then the operating voltage and the operating current will be different and there will be a mismatch factor. So now start with the silicon basics. Silicon has an atomic number of 14, so its atomic configuration will be 2, 8 and 4. So due to the outer 4 atoms, it is semiconductor. And as you have studied in a material science subject that the silicon having diamond structure and the packaging density of diamond structure is 34%. The second important point is the silicon have moderate band gap, which is 1.12 electron volt. So this is the basic about the silicon material. So we have lots of semiconductor like silicon, germanium, gallium arsenide, etc., etc. But we are particularly using silicon in our fabrication. So there must be some very important reason of using silicon in our fabrication. So let's study about it. So the silicon is the second most abundant in the earth. It is present 28% in the earth. It is present in the form of sand and quartz. So due to the large abundance, it is very cheap. So due to this factor, we can use silicon in our fabrication. The second important point is silicon can withstand with 150 degrees centigrade, whereas germanium can withstand with 100 degrees centigrade. And we always want a device to be operated higher temperature without any deterioration of its performance. So that is why silicon is better performing in a high temperature zone. Also, silicon can grow stable oxide of SiO2, so which is very important for whole fabrication process. Later in session we will understand how fabrication happen, and then you will understand silicon dioxide is the reason of whole fabrication process. One more important reason is the resistivity of the silicon is very very high and germanium is low. Due to higher resistivity, we can use this kind of material in our rectifying devices. So that is why silicon is used for rectification purpose. Also, germanium is difficult to dope, so that is why we cannot use germanium. And very important point that you have also studied in electronic device, that the silicon have very low reverse saturated current which is in nanoampere range, whereas germanium have very high uh, reverse saturated current which is in microampere. So this is one very important reason of using silicon in our fabrication. We always want our reverse saturated to be very very small. So the next important reason is the silicon diode cutoff voltage is zero point 0.7 volt, whereas germanium device cutoff voltage is zero point 0.3 volt. So we always want our cutoff voltage to be high so that no noise can turn on our device. So let's suppose if we have a noise of zero point 0.4 volt, and if we have a germanium diode, then diode will turn on with the by using noise in its operation, but we never want our noise to deteriorate our performance, so we always want our cutoff voltage to be very very high. And one more very important semiconductor is gallium arsenide. It also shows very good electrical property, but due to large defect we cannot use it. So let us study the type of solid structure present in the earth. The first one is crystalline, second one is polycrystalline, and then amorphous. So let us study what is crystalline material. When the atom are arranged in a periodic manner throughout its space, then it is called crystalline material. You can see in the diagram the crystalline material having the atoms in the periodic manner. The second what we have is a polycrystalline. So when we divide our whole surface into parts, and each part we call as grain, and the orientation of the atom in one particular grain is same, it is periodic in that particular region, but it is different from the other particular region. So that is why we call it as a polycrystalline material. So you can see this particular region is one grain and having the atoms in a sequenced manner, and this particular region is another domain having the having the atoms in a particular orientation, but the both these regions are different, so it is called polycrystalline material. The last material what we have is amorphous material, which is non-periodic material. It means there is no periodicity in the atom can be present in anywhere in any concentration, so this is amorphous. So the actual material present in our earth is in amorphous form, then we need to convert into polycrystalline form, and then we need to convert into single crystal form. So we always use single crystal in our fabrication process. So this is all about today's session. Hope you like this session. If you like the session, please share, subscribe to my channel, and stay at home. Thank you so much. Goodbye.